Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends. Again, something slightly different today. This video's jumped to queue slightly because I wanted to share it with you guys. So I told you on a previous video that I had something pretty special coming, and obviously this is it. So I thought this deserves a video in its own right because for me, this is the holy grail of Tamiya for me. Now, a lot of other people say it's the Blazing Blazer and, you know, earlier models, and I understand that, it's personal preference. But as I say, mine is the Avante. Now, I've been really lucky to come across this. Obviously, as you can see, I've got the box and manual with it. And this is an original 1988 Avante, so it's 30 years old. Now, there's quite a lot of things to talk about with this particular car, but we'll start with the basics first. So as I say, it was released in 1988, and the Avanti is special for, I suppose, the majority of Tamiya lovers because it was Tamiya's first true attempt at a race buggy. It kind of completely went away from all the plastic moulded chassis and things like this. The majority of this, it's FRP double deck chassis. And we'll do close-ups and I'll show you it all. But this was their flagship racing buggy of the day. Now, as it happened, it didn't work for them. It had quite a lot of problems. So it kind of failed on the racetrack, unfortunately. But it gained, you know, iconic status for Tamiya lovers all over the world. If you've never seen one before, it's just still one of the best looking Tamiyas ever. I personally don't think it's got a bad angle to look at it. You know, even underneath the under tray, it's superb. So, as I say, this is an original 88. Now, what I will be talking about later is this is also a first edition 88 Avante. Now, I didn't know that existed. I'm not a Tamiya purist, but I know plenty of people are. So I don't really take the time to learn the fine detail about certain models. But a good friend of mine, I'll give him a shout out, Martin in Quebec, messaged me yesterday when he saw pictures of this, and he said that's the first edition, and he started showing me things to look for. So I'll go into that. So basically, this is the first production they did of it. And basically, I don't know, after 6 months to a maximum of a year, bits on it started failing. They weren't strong enough, mainly the front uprights and some certain screws and what have you. So they had to upgrade it. Now this ran from 88 to 1991, so there was 3 years of production. And we think, from the information we're digging up, that the first 12 months was this edition. And then it came out and they changed certain things on the manual and whatever. Anyway, I'll go through that in detail. So I think the first thing to do, so this video is going to be in a couple of steps. I'll show you it in detail, and we'll get the top off it and we'll strip it, and just in case you've never seen one. And then we'll go through what makes it a first edition, which I find interesting. And then lastly, we'll talk about what I'm actually going to do with it, because it is quite a rare thing now. It's kind of gone away. My plans changed slightly. So let's bat on. The first thing to look at is the box. It's quite rare that you'll get an Avante with box and manual. As I say, I've fallen very lucky with this one. The box itself has got a little bit of damage and fade, but I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's 30 years old. It's one of the better boxes I've actually seen, to be honest. I'll have to glue it at either end, but that's a very easy fix. But you know, again, looking at Tamiya's amazing artwork, you know, this picture here. I believe this was the first car that Tamiya used the centre diff in. Obviously, it had the front and back diffs, but it's also got a centre diff here. And one of the downfalls, in my opinion, for this car was it was made to run with the Tamiya CPR unit, which was the built-in receiver speed controller unit. Now, obviously, this car was mega expensive back in the day, and obviously this was mega expensive as well. So I think it put a lot of people off, because you're looking at a time where everyone was running basically 3-step manual speed controllers. And then all of a sudden, you know, the electronic speed controllers were huge with big relays in them and things like that back then. So you couldn't just run it, you know, there was a lot of expense involved. Anyway, as I say, that's the box, and we're very chuffed with that. And look, there's a number that's important, 58072. It's more of lovely Tamiya artwork, and there's a sort of close-up of one of the diffs and the centre diff with the technical motor. So that's that, and as I say, we've got a nice manual with it. Now again, this is a first edition manual, but we'll speak about that in a little while. Right, so the important bit, the car itself. So I've not touched this at the moment. I only got it yesterday, and you know, it needs cleaning. It's got an amazing history behind it. Now, the guy I got it off, you know, he gave me all the spiel that it's brand new, it's only been run a couple of times, and you know, you kind of take that kind of stuff with a pinch of salt. But now I've had a chance to look at the car, I get it, you know, that's definitely what happened. Some items it came with. So it came with an 8.4 racing pack, NICAD. The Avanti was not designed to run the 8.4 with the extra cell at the end. And also this old vintage Speedo was in the box. So I've powered it up to check it, and it's blown, the FETs are blown on it. As I'll show you when we take the top off, the technical motor has had the timing turned up to full, and also, I don't know if you better see this, the under tray here has a big hole cut out of it. You can just see it there. And that was to fit, to allow this extra cell to come out. So basically, obviously, as I say, when you see the state of the chassis, you will understand that this thing is absolutely brand new. And obviously, if you look at the bumper and then that front gearbox plate, you know, there's absolutely no marks on it. So pretty much, he's ran it, he's built it, ran it, wanted maximum speed, turned the technical up full, put an 8.4 on it, and it's blown the speed controller. And he's basically put it back in the box for 29 years, which is just amazing, and it happens so often, it's unreal. I've also found a bigwig, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, exactly the same. The guy built it, smashed it on his first run, broke the front end, and just put it in the box and left it for 20 odd years. You know, and it's crazy, it's like finding treasure. So we do know a little bit about its history, which makes this a very, very clean car. So, as I say, if you've never seen one before, well, first of all, it came with the cam lock wheels. These things, this particular one's broken, but these little clips flick up, and then use your finger and thumb to turn it, and that's what tightens it. Now, you can over tighten these, which is a massive problem, but as I say, these cam locks only were ever done on 2 cars, which was original Avanti, and then they did some white ones on the 2001 Avanti. And then we've still got this technical motor, which is absolutely brand new. As you can see, the design, the engineering on this car was absolutely groundbreaking for Tamiya at the time. The majority of people say it was over-engineered, and you know, there's definitely an argument for that. It's very flash indeed. Well, I hope you're seeing this. It's amazing, just everything, just fantastic on it. It's just, I mean, I'm biased, I love it. Right, let's whiz the top. Oh, before I do that, because I don't want to build it back up, I'm going to show you some things that I need to do. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this. I bought this to make videos with and run, and then sort of move it on. But this thing seems to be a little bit too rare now. As I say, when we talk about front uprights, I'll explain to you why it's a little bit fragile to run. But as you can see, decals, because of the age, they're starting to lift. That particular decal is not in the right place either. It should have more of an angle, which is frustrating for me. some of these decals just starting to lift, and you can just see the signs of age. Now, as I say, I've not touched this. It will polish up and it will look better. But things like this, there's not a great deal I can do about it. That's a mess. You know, and this one's lifting as well. So, it's one of these things, you know, what do you do with it? Do you just leave it as it is in complete original form? Or do you make it better? Also on that, can you see the spoiler's not being cut? That line there is actually the cut line. So that's an easy little fix to make it look better, and I'll straighten the spoiler up, the wing up, because it's not quite straight. Is also the canopy. First of all, it needs some Tamiya polycarbonate cleaner on it, inside and out, because it should be absolutely gleaming. The cockpit behind the driver's head is not painted. That he's painted everything else. So that, I believe, box art's silver, but I tend to do that in black. I just think, you know, again, personal preference. I think it looks better. So I can do that. I can also take the, it's got blue paint on the canopy, if you can see. So I can also get that off, and obviously once the whole chassis and wing and under trace polished up, it will look much better. But I've definitely got an issue with the decals, which I need to sort of figure out what I'm going to do. So let's have a look at her when she's stripped. So this is a just with the top off first of all. As you can see, it's a well, you can't see the double deck, but it's double deck FRP chassis. The driver bolts on with one screw there. That's the centre diff I was talking about. But you kind of get a better look at the front end. As you can see all the dust in it. But this thing is so trick. It was absolutely groundbreaking at the time. See the steering. Servos over here for the steering. Nice and smooth. Just everything about it just oozes class. Right, let's strip her down a little bit more. Right, that's her with the wing off and the wheels off now. So, as you can see, that's the super cool alloy hexes that the wheels mount onto. So a quick fix I can do with these wheels, well, if you've never seen a cam lock before, basically this is just a wheel nut, that's all it is. So you locate your wheel on, that went in the middle, and then you screw it onto the wheel, and then obviously these little flaps, the idea was to just fold down and sit like that. Now I have to say, they look absolutely amazing, but I think there were probably more problems than they were worth. Out of these four, one's broken. I hope you can see. So if you can see the crack across the middle, you know, this was the biggest fault. You just nudged the wheel on a curb or anything, and it just ripped to plastic and threaded on the inside. Now luckily there is a little easy fix for that, and it's just to put a very small tie wrap around the end of it, get it nice and tight, and it fixes it. Or you could take these off and just put wheel nuts on, or you could change the wheels, because another problem me Avanti had was it used all four tyres were the same, so you had these like really wide front tyres, so the steering wasn't the best. So I remember back in the day reading the race magazine articles from all the people, the experts who were starting to run them on the racetracks. The first thing they did was put narrower front wheels on, front tyres on. So that's cam locks. Obviously these are original tyres and they haven't got any cracks in, which is just amazing, and they've got no signs of, you know, dents in them where they've been flattened. So that's an absolute bonus. These, as you're probably aware, I'm an absolute lover of doing the white tyre writing, and on these tyres it's particularly good because it's almost a super gripper, and then 4x4, and then what is it, racing rears. So once you get that, the wheels stand out, and then again I'll put some silicone spray on them to keep them soft and make them look new and shiny. As you can see, tread wise, just the tops have gone slightly, the spikes. So that's that. Back to the car. So what I should have shown you earlier, both shock towers have these clips that you have to put onto these balls, which is quite frustrating because you have to do that every time to get the body on and off. So obviously it's a strengthener for it, so it has to be there, but as I say, it was always a frustration having to get some long nose pliers and snap one side off, and so you can take the shell off. But saying that, they designed this in a way where the battery, you didn't have to take the top off. The under tray was designed, I think the way this looks is awesome. First of all, you've got this plate here. Take those 4 screws off and that allows you access into the front diff, which is really cool. It's got a body clip here, and it has one either side here. And the idea was, now this doesn't work properly because, I don't know if you can see, this line here on the under tray hasn't been cut correctly. It comes off at an angle, so it should have more movement. But the idea was, you obviously, these two had the pins in, you unclipped this one, and then the under tray lifted up like that, and then that allowed you to slide your battery in through here with this little clip with a pin in to secure your battery. So pretty cool. And also underneath you had your other plate, take these 3 screws out, and that allows you to get into the rear diff. So it had been thought out, but you know, it was completely different to what Tamiya had before. So if we just whiz this off, this just unclips off like that. As I say, he's cut a big hole out of there to allow that 8.4 battery, which is a shame. But again, that's an easy fix. A new under tray from reproduction one from Team Blue Groove. So that's what it looks like underneath. You know, so that's steering servo mounted. You know, I mean, you've got to think back in the day, this was, you know, Tamiya was racing, oh God, what would it have been back then, before 88, I can't even imagine. Frogs and Hot Shots would have been on the racetrack, you know, up against Kyosho, Optima Mids, Optimas, maybe some Yokos. You know, this is why they did this. You know, they really wanted to compete, and sort of they kind of came away from almost the hobby and toy grade Tamiya stuff. I love it, I really do. So you can see the steering servo there with the arm and then the linkage, and it is super smooth. I'm sure I'll do it from here and then you'll see it better. You know, there's a lot to go wrong with it though, you know, and I do find if you don't do it correctly, there can be a lot of play in that steering as well. But it's nice, and as I say, because the driver fits here, you only had a space for your speed controller here. That's the only place you could put it. And as I say, back in the day, the original electronic speedos were just too big, so your shell wouldn't fit. So that was a big problem. You might get a better look at the linkages now. But it's all very smooth. I've got to say, although it kind of didn't work on the racetrack, it kind of does in your hand. As I say, sorry I've not cleaned this up, but I just wanted you to see it as it is. You know, it's super smooth. Front and rear anti-roll bars fitted. And it came as standard, or the majority of kits came as standard with the Technigold in. And as you can see, this one's brand spanker. Just on that, I'm hoping you can see with the lines, the timing lines, if I can get the light right. So this line here on this black bit, that's your timing line, and there's your degrees of timing, and down here is the lowest. And as you can see, this has been cranked up full, which wasn't really needed with an 8.4 battery, but that's what we did back in the day, didn't we? Get it as quick as you can. So that's pretty much it. So the differences that make this a first edition are, now mainly it's these front uprights here, this alloy. Let's see if I can get a better look at it. This thing here. Now this was so weak and brittle, it was unreal. And I have been told that if I do my normal sort of running videos and take this over a ramp, one of these or both of them could actually break. So I'm not going to take the risk. So that's the first giveaway, but it's a first edition. Second one is this cam link here. It only had one nut on one side. When they did the upgrade, so I'm guessing I don't know if it must have pulled out or threaded, but they went with a double nut on each one. they also changed the screws on, I think it's BL6 and 7, somebody told me, which I believe is this screw here and this screw here changed. So I'm guessing again it was, you know, to make it stronger. Maybe when it was kind of, you know, in use, it was ripping out. So the manual also changes as well. I'll just show you in case anyone's really interested in the geeky side of Tamiya. That number there, 0388, denotes that it's a first edition. The second one came out and it was something like 0488. I don't know if the 88 was correct, but it was certainly 04. And obviously the drawings inside only had one nut and it showed you these uprights. I believe one of the part bags changed as well. So again, this, you know, this doesn't really matter. It makes, for me, it makes it a rare thing. I mean, let's face it, a 1988 original Avanti is rare anyway, with box and manual. But when you know it's a first edition, you know, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, does it add value? I guess it adds value if it goes to the right person. You know, some sort of Tamiya who's an absolute purist, you know, this is what we look for, this kind of thing. So the first edition thing's up there with like the Porsche 959 Rothman's version to the racing version, or what else is it, the Tamiya Clodbuster, when one had the Chevy badge, and then I think the licensing agreement fell through, and then they had to take the Chevy badge off it. You know, so it's that's what the kind of purists look for. For me, I'm not that bothered. Even the 2011 Avanti Re-Re is a beautiful thing. And I guess it was actually better than this because they strengthened all the front end up and changed a few things. And I think they went with, I believe, a carbon double deck on the Re-Re as well. So that's pretty much it. So the problem is, what do I do with it now? Obviously, I'm going to strip this and get it all cleaned up, get it all re-greased, check the diffs, make sure everything's okay, turn the timing back down on the motor, take the shocks apart, put some new oil in if it needs it, and I'll just generally clean. You know, you can see it's only dust. I mean, this is really not, you know, you can see there, it's absolutely a treasure underneath. But the problem is the body shell for me. It's what I'm going to do with this. Martin, who I gave a shout out to earlier, can send me some upgraded uprights to change while I run it, so I can save these. So that's great. That means I can run it to do a video. But as I say, when the whole thing's mint and finished, I'm going to be left with this, and it's the decals. There's no way fixing this. You know, I'm not going to use glue. There's other stuff you can use, but it's not as good. My personal take on it is, this is an absolute thing of beauty, and it needs to look mint. So there's a couple of options. There's obviously, I take these decals off. I buy a set of 2011 Re-Re decals. Obviously the differences of the sponsorship, so the original had Space Tech Engineering, the Re-Re, I think it says Diablo there, didn't have the Weber and K&N ones, but again, I could probably keep them. It's just these where you can see the glue underneath. You know, change them, so put original Tamiya Re-Re ones on, and it'll look amazing, and it'll, as I say, it'll still have the original. I have to do something with that spoiler. I mean, I'll get that cut out, but again, I don't know if you can see there, it's got paint. It's not focusing in. It's got paint chip. So I need to buy some paint for it. They've not, as you can see there, it's transparent. They've not taken the time and got enough paint into the top of those wings. So I need to do that. But in fact, there's just not enough paint on that wing, full stop. So that means, I mean, the plastic's solid. That's the main thing, and that's, for me, you know, that's the most important bit. Or then there's plan C, which is leave this as it is and buy a reproduction shell, Re-Re decals, and buy the reproduction original decals from MCI, so I can do a brand new reproduction shell, wing and under tray, and it'll match what the original looked like, and then put it on and run it. So then it's going to look absolutely new, you know. So that's my options. So I'd be interested to hear what you guys think if you've stayed to the end, because I know this is a little bit of a long video, but for me, this is one car that deserves a video on its own, because it really is that special. So yeah, let me know underneath what you think, what I should do with it. You know, there's an option D, is polish it all up best you can and just sell it on to someone who kind of deserves it more than I do, because again, you know, it's a rare thing, and it's a little bit wasted on me. So thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to this channel, please consider liking and subscribing for my weekly videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.